what I did not emphasize enough in the previous video is that it's not the different understandings of the terms that we use what is crucial when there is a conceptual mismatch between us as we engage in a dialogue, but rather the actual mobilization of concepts, the different ways in which these concepts function in the dynamics of thought. Because, as I have said, thinking can be thought of as a kind of a movement, which means it's never it's not a fixed phenomenon. It's always changing to some degree. The structure of the brain is always changing. That's why the brain that retrieves a memory, for instance, is not the same brain that had stored that memory, which is a fascinating thing, because it means that everything is distorted to the present state of perceptions. But even if there is this constant movement, our thought processes, the stream of our thoughts, can easily settle into patterns or habitual pathways that can hinder our perfect alignment with others, because others have those thought processes that have settled into different patterns, and that's where our misunderstandings arise. And these patterns, we acquire these patterns because we develop a neat set of reflexes through time by which we react to everything that triggers a thought process in us. And we acquire these habits on the basis of what worked so far in our interactions, like water flowing downhill, always finding the easiest path. Same way, what requires the least amount of cognitive effort is what we will adopt as working. To paraphrase Henry David Thoreau, I would say that this is the way we contract ourselves into the nutshell of habitual understandings that will then atrophy our capacities for understanding others or our situations properly. Okay. Or in other words, in the pinball machine of our minds, the targets become fixed, and all movement all trajectory of thought will gravitate towards these specified slots, towards these established slots, and only those trajectories will be meaningful, will make sense, that will fall into these particular slots. But we can prevent being rigidified into these molds of habits we have adopted by exercising thought, by flexing and stretching the muscles of thoughts, the same way as, because the same way as our bodily movements rigidify into kinetic patterns when we sit the same way every day in front of the computer, for example, like you are doing now, crossing your leg in the same way, or by walking the same way always, with the same gait, or standing in a manner which is peculiar, or I don't know, closing the doors behind us always the same way. So these habits can deteriorates the free flow of circulation in our bodies, as a result of which some muscles will atrophy or become weaker. And the free movement will be compromised. And this is what happens with thought if we are not exercising it. And we should do that, of course. And we can do that by exposing ourselves to the differences that others offer, or by exposing ourselves to different perspectives, trying to adapt to different perspectives, trying to adopt different perspectives. By exposing ourselves to poetry, for example. I think reading poetry is a very good mind-stretching exercise, actually. Yes. Just exercise your mind. This is the yoga of thought. Stretch. Always tug at the boundaries.